And the one thing I've learned is these algorithms feed you more of what you consume. So, that being said, if you are noticing that your feed is filled with, and I know your feed isn't this, Tommy, but you know, I hear people talk about my feed is full of negativity. It's full of all of this or all of that and all this, I'm seeing all of the wrong in the world. That's because those are the things that you're clicking on.
Hey there, tech enthusiasts. Welcome to Tech Time with Sweet Tea, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of technology and how it can either serve you or, well, not serve you. Here is your host, Sweet Tea, and he's on a mission to help you harness the power of tech in your life. Join him as he chats with people about their tech journeys. From the latest gadgets to digital dilemmas, we'll explore it all. So grab your favorite device, hit that play button, and let's keep it real in the world of tech. Tech Time with Sweet Tea is here to help you stay plugged in and empowered. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another edition of Keeping It Real podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with someone I met since we kind of were connected with the community back a year ago, but I met him officially last year when I volunteered at the Summit of Greatness with Lewis Howes and with the School of Greatness community. Been familiar with a lot of other things as well that's connected in the same parts. If you ever heard of Next Level Trainings, go check that out. But I want to open this talk up today with a quote with one of the trainers who I've been graciously been trained by myself. Transformational coach, trainer Chris Lee said it best. There are two types of ways you can react, you can go about living your life. And I want to point out, indecision is a decision, and that you can decide to either accept how your life is going in the moment, talking about being present in the moment too, or you can choose to change the trajectory of what's happening currently in your life. And with that opened up, thanks to Chris for coming on. What are you excited about today, Chris?
Hey, Tommy, thanks for having me on. Honestly, I'm excited about, I'm doing some of the work that you're talking about, the next level trainings, getting ready to coach one of the cycles that are coming up here in January and February and March. And so that always gets me excited because when I'm coaching other people, it puts me in the work of, I can't coach unless I'm doing it myself, right? So it puts me in the work myself and then in that coaching place. So I'm really excited to be in the personal growth work and doing that self work. If you've spent some time doing self work, it's like it can be tough because you go through some breakdowns, right? You're coming up against things that cause you, those internal conversations, those whatever, things that you need to break through to get you to where you want to be. And for me, being in the work, like my fitness is one thing, right? That's part of taking care of yourself. And so by being in the work, one of the things that I got in neglect of during COVID was taking care of myself physically, exercising. It became really easy to work from home. I didn't go to the gym anymore. I got out of that habit. And then the daily routines at home slowly went away. So it's rejuvenating that physical self-care for me is kind of where I'm at in this current, flow of my life.
Yeah, it's great when you can do something and you can learn something about yourself, how you think, how you thought. And what I'm hearing a lot lately is your thoughts are really powerful on all your actions, on your reactions, how you think about things. Would that be an accurate statement?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like, in accordance to your quote, it's like you can choose in any moment in your life to like, I'm in this place and I don't like something in my life, right? For me, it was my little man boobs, right? Oh, there's a thing that is in my life that I want to take care of. And maybe for you or for somebody else, there's another area of life, maybe a relationship that they want to work on, and there's definitely different facets of our lives, right? I call them domains, but like you've got your work stuff. You got, the issues that you got to deal with that. Then you got your relationship stuff, the stuff that you got to deal with that there. Then you've got, your groups and communities that you're a part of, and the work and the effort that needs to go there. And then it's like, well, I want to give back. I want to be in contribution. I want to do things there. It's like, well, where am I setting up time and focus on those things? And we can get into this place where we have all of these have to do things, right? And it can just get to this place of like overwhelm and feel like it's just so much of have to. And I think for me, at least, it's that shifting of the language and starting to notice the language that we're using, because we're manifesting those things. If this is a have to, it's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel like I have to do it. Somebody's telling me what to do. But if we're coming from a place of gratitude and we're stepping into like, oh, I'm blessed to be able to do this, the whole feeling and the emotion of all of these things that we have going on shifts. It shifts into a place of gratitude. And I'm like, I'm so blessed to have all of these things on my to-do list, right? And so for me, what it boiled down to is like I coach people, I support them in manifesting their vision and things. But like the big thing that I'm excited about, and I haven't really shared this with you yet, so I'm excited to do so. But it's this velocity trainings, the 12-week success planner. That's what this is. And all these things I'm talking about is like this life just gets busy. And so for me, I was looking at and working with Craig Mills, which from he volunteered with us at the Summit of Greatness. But we started to look at like all the different things that we have going on in our lives, the different domains. And we ended up breaking them down into 7 domains. And that became like a manageable thing. There's one domain per day, right? 7 days a week, 7 domains, one day per or one domain per day of the week to focus on, to just raise our awareness of. Not necessarily that like that day you have to do work towards that thing, but it's just raising our mental awareness of like, where are we at in this area of our life? And like, what are our goals here? And what are the things that we're creating? So, well, first off, I'm going to back up a little bit. We created the Harmony Map. The Harmony Map is the 7 domains that make up our lives. Our mental domain, which is kind of our mental health. Our physical, that's our physical health, the things that we're eating, the exercise, the things we're doing with our body. Spiritual, that's our, internal. So those first 3 things are really oxygen masks. Then we talk about our relationships, which is, after we do oxygen mask outside ourselves, it's the next level of circle closest to us. And then we have the community, the more surrounding community. Then we have an area of revenue and a domain of contribution. So in those 7 domains, we're able to like break down our lives and say, okay, I need to really work on my mental health, like create some time in practice of, oxygen mask taking care of me. And so then the idea is that we take those domains and we break them down set some wrong side, set some goals for the domain. We have areas to track our progress in each domain. And then down here, we can reflect each week on what our results were. What did we create? How much work do we do? And then my favorite part is, and you can see here, I've got stuff written down. This is a schedule where I actually plan my week. And it goes from 4 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. What's cool about that for me is like my exercise begins at 5 a.m. I want to be at the gym. I want to be exercising at 5 a.m., which means I got to wake up at 4:30. Boom, it's in my schedule. I can plan that. 4:30, I'm waking up. 5:30, I'm at the gym. I'm done. I leave the gym at 6. I'm home by 6:30, showered. By 7, I'm out the door. By 7:30, I'm at the office, right? And now what did I do with my time? Oh, I can tell you exactly what I did. Where did I focus on myself? Oh, the morning, in my morning routine, I knocked out mental, physical, spiritual. Boom, every day, crushing it. Or I can look at my schedule and go, man, things I have been flustered, not a whack. I don't have any morning routine. I have no focus on mental, physical, or spiritual, right? And so this is just an opportunity to raise our awareness, to be intentional. And which the reason we call it velocity is velocity. When you really break it down, it's the speed of something moving in a specific direction. That's what velocity is. So the idea is that we want to pick some goals and we want to move in that direction. Now the thing is that we don't have to do everything all. The reason we call it the harmony map is we're not doing all the things in all the domains all the time. It's creating harmony in shifting in and out of those things. Because maybe in this season of my life, my career and what I'm doing in my revenue takes up the majority of my day. But I got that scheduled in, and I've got it scheduled in because my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my friends, the people that matter to me, my parents, whoever they are, those people, I have awareness of how much time I'm spending with them. I have them scheduled down, for me to spend time with them. And so now that I'm creating intention, now that I'm raising my awareness of all of these things, I can start to have it all, because now I'm scheduling it. I'm making time for it. There isn't going to be those little minutes and hours of wasted time that just goes by unintentionally because I don't have clear focus of what I'm working on. And so part of that becomes the practice of being intentional. And the reason that this is a paper calendar and not some app is so that you're spending time sitting down and writing it down. And like for me, this is like you're casting a spell, putting it into the universe. I'm manifesting this. This is putting it into reality from thought to paper. Now it's in the world. It exists in the world when it's on paper. It's out of your head. Does that make sense? So to me, there's real power in taking the time and the intention to writing it down in your planner.
Planner,
but what we've done is
anything.
Yeah. So
get
it's
it out of your head so you can see your thoughts.
Exactly. And that's what this is like in here along the journey, there's prompts to get you thinking about those things. So there's no like, oh, you have to do this and you have to do this for physical health. There's none of that. It's whatever definition you want to give it. The question is, where is your level of awareness around your physical health? And then that's your question to answer. So we're not telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing. We're not, that's not the job of a coach. We're just here to support you towards your vision. So whatever that looks like. However, here's the framework for you. And if you live this framework, you're going to find yourself in a harmonious place because you can have it all. And here's the thing, this is actually in the planner. We do a whole video training session on this. Is we limit our thought process, right? We think, oh, I can do this or I can do that. I can have that or I can have that. But the reality is that life doesn't give us this or that. It gives us the possibility to have both and, right? So I could do this and I can do that. And so once we take a step back and open up our mind to the greater possibilities that exist, we begin to see that availability in our lives. And so when we talk about those different domains, I might go do one thing, and in that one thing that I'm interacting with 3 different domains or 4 different domains. It's like I could go for a walk at the park, which helps my physical health. I'm out in nature, breathing in natural air, fresh air, which is great for my mental health, right? So my mental, my physical health are being taken care of. I bring my dog with me. Now I've got companionship and things like that, and I have joy, right? And then I bring my girlfriend or my wife. Well, in my case, wife, but whoever's case, whatever your case is, or your buddy or somebody, you bring them with you. Now you're creating community, friendship, relationship, and the physical activity. So a simple walk at the park can check a whole bunch of boxes. And when we raise our awareness of that, and we celebrate that, we step into a more joyous life because we're finding all these little places that we get to celebrate what we're creating. Does that make sense? Like,
Totally.
being able to just raise that awareness of that, because we can go to the park and we can walk with our wife and not be aware, and it doesn't have that impact. But when we can reflect back on that and reflect back on what we created, it's like, oh wow, the impact of that lands different. It sits different, and you're intentionally creating something as opposed to it just happening on accident.
You can put together all the things that meet your schedule, and then if you can combine, when people talk about, oh, there's only 24 hours in a day, well, what would be possible if you put together your exercising time with your family time? How would that look? How might that look, right?
Yeah.
You can have a walk with the family, including the dog and whatever, and you can do all these things and combine it all in once and save time for something else later in the day that will move the needle in your life forward too. You can combine.
Yeah, you imagine somebody saying, I don't have time to do yoga because I have my kids in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what better way to educate and train your kids on a great healthy practice every morning is to get up and do yoga with mom, or get up and do yoga with dad, whatever that looks like, right? Like, and if you can't find a place that's open to doing that, then there's all kinds of resources online and through video that you could do. So there's always opportunity to find the both and, but we need to raise our awareness, and that's a practice. It's not
takes leaning in a little bit and shifting, leaning in, all things that we've learned in these trainings, leaning in, shifting to.
Well, another thing is that when you're practicing, when you're practicing, you're gonna mess up, right? You're gonna fall back into your pattern. And typically, as humans, what we do when we fall back into our patterns, we beat ourselves up. Like, oh, you fell into your pattern. But when we can shift our thought process to this is a practice, when you go to the basketball court and you dribble that ball for the first time, you don't have the expectation that I'm going to go out on the court and play like Michael Jordan. You have that expectation. Like, I hope I can even get it to bounce off the backboard, let alone in the net, right? But over time, you keep practicing, you keep putting in that practice, and before you know it, you're dribbling the ball, you're weaving between your legs, and sinking some shots, right? Same
Mm.
thing with everything else in life. We got to get out there and practice and practice and practice, and not beat ourselves up because we dropped the ball or lost our temper. This is the biggest place where I got my start in personal growth, was around my temper. It's like I'd let things build up, and then I'd explode. Bah! It's like a firecracker. Go, what the heck, Dad? Like, you were fine, and then all of a sudden you're like level 10. It's like we didn't even see it coming. It's like, well, because I ignored all of those other little things. So it was like, oh, well, how can I shift that? Well, every time one of those little things is present, let's address it. And then that way it doesn't build up, and then there's no powder keg to blow. Oh, well, that seems simple, right? But then when you get into practice, it's like, man, it's like, oh, I'm holding in. It's building up. I'm starting to feel that like powder keg build, right? And then I had to raise that awareness, and it doesn't happen unless you're in practice of it. You know what I mean? So you have to fall down to learn, and you're not going to learn without practicing and failing and continuing to move forward. They say people can't change. It's like absolutely wrong. People can change. They just have to keep practicing. But if you keep holding them to where they are, and you don't give them that room to grow and to learn, then they will stay stuck in your mind, right? Does that make sense? Like,
Stuck
judge
in,
as we step into judgment of people and things. So
stuck in the
anyway, maybe I'm
loop, the mental loop, the and when we when we get, I want to shift this conversation a little bit. Like, it's great, especially I got 5 of your 7 domains: mental,
domains.
physical, spiritual, community, revenue. Did I
Yep.
and miss
Relationships
relationships, and then one
and
more:
contribution.
contribution.
Yeah. It's like relationships is everything from our marriage, girlfriend, boyfriend, to to our like mine and your relationship. Our friendships, and like how much time. One of the things that I'm doing on Sunday is I'm going to go play basketball with a group of guys. We were talking about basketball. I haven't played basketball since seventh grade, so it's been a while. Um, but there was an opportunity to go hang out with a group of guys and play basketball. Well, I don't really have very many like guy friends anymore. When I had a job, a standard job, you have your buddies that you work with. And then I had my buddies from high school that I hang out with. But outside of now that I don't have that job, I don't have that group of buddies to do those barbecues with. Like, it's a different world. So I have to be intentional about creating those types of relationships. And so this is one way, is, me joining that group to go play basketball is one way for me to grow my community, to grow my network of friends, and then also playing basketball is going to work on my physical fitness. You know, so
Yeah, totally. I want to shift a little bit to like more like the digital side, social media, and we talked about all those things. How can we use like social media to boost rocket, like social media is a tool, and if not
oh
used
yeah,
properly, we get what we probably saw in the last 3 years: people just going in there, not being intentional on social media, and they're scrolling, and they're just, when we're locked in our homes, that's all we had, these screens. How can you be intentional using social media to boost your relationship, to boost your mental, to boost your physical? How can we use that to boost all that, and how it can all come together, and how can we use social media to be intentional?
Yeah. So one of my backgrounds is social media marketing, right? I've spent millions on Facebook, millions on YouTube and Google in advertising. And the one thing that I've learned is these algorithms feed you more of what you consume. So that being said, if you are noticing that your feed is filled with, and I know your feed isn't this, Tommy, but you know, I hear people talk about my feed is full of negativity. It's full of all of this or all of that and all this, I'm seeing all of the wrong in the world. That's because those are the things that you're clicking on. Those are the things that you're giving attention to. So the biggest thing on social media is to be a part of communities and groups that are doing the things and being the things and saying the things that you want in your life. If you're part of some political group, and I'm saying political group just because of all the tension that's been, around politics over the past, few years, is like, if you're part of a group that you're feeling has a lot of negativity, don't give it attention anymore. You see some article that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm astounded by that. Don't click on it. Because if you click on it, they're going to send you more stuff like that. And you're going to start just seeing all of that negativity. So when you see a post of positivity, of love, like that, click on that, be a part of that, join groups like that. And then your feed will fill with those types of people, with those types of posts and things. If you look at my social media, very, very few posts have any negativity at all. And the ones that are typically family that I would delete otherwise, but because they're family, they stay. But it's like, and some of that family, even I have to mute, so it's like I won't delete them, but like I'm not letting
Unfollow,
yeah, not
take
letting
them off
that
your
stuff
feed.
into my world. Well, for me, that's my personality. I have to go all in on stuff. I can't like dip my toe. And so when you have like people like holding you to who you were as opposed to what you're, the new you that you're creating, and people are trying to hold you to who you are, like I had to cut those people out. Like I can't, because I'm all in this. And if I have any of that negativity, any of that doubt, I go back to toe dipping. So for me, I had to cut some of that out while I did the work. But then once I did the work, I built this shield around myself. Well, I don't even know if I call it a shield. It's just filled with a level of confidence and knowing of thyself
You built
that
a
it's
boundary.
like, yeah. And now those things don't bother me as much. So I see it and doesn't bother me. I also know, like, one thing, if you want to create a really engaging group, you have to be engaging in your group. If you create a group and you just don't show up and you expect all these other people to do the work, it's not going to
Contribution.
happen. Yeah, exactly. And one thing I've also seen is that people will start with a certain level of momentum, and then that momentum drops off, and then they wonder why the group's momentum dropped off. As leaders, and this is why, we were talking about coaching. When you step into coaching, you are that leader. You are the example. You're giving permission to people on how to show up. So, if I show up as like, I'm giving people to show up as like, hey, okay, hey, how's it going? Because I'm like, yeah. But if I show up as like, hey, how's it going? People will show up as like, hey, how's it going? They'll show up one level below wherever the leaders are at. So your leaders have to be operating at a level in order to create that in the students. Does that make sense?
Leadership training.
So
Leaders in training.
Yeah, so you got to be the example. So if you're setting up a group, if you're running some page, some business, you got an online business and stuff like that, what kind of engagement are you looking for from your customers, from your fans, from your contributors? You've got to show up at a level above where you want them to show up. And if you're not willing to show up at that level, then don't waste your time, because there's no point in putting in. It's not going to go anywhere, because other people aren't going to try harder for your thing than you're willing to try. All right? Does that make sense? Like, if you think about your Facebook groups and stuff, if those leaders aren't engaged, people will go somewhere else. And they'll have a conversation on some other group page where the leaders are engaged, where they're posting and getting you thinking and getting you, motivated. So
I was kind of doing that since 2017. It's I like to call it like a soft launch of a podcast. I launched with the inspiration of like Lewis, like you should find the one thing that you like to do and do it, and I the School of Greatness was my first podcast I ever listened to, and still today. And I launched it, and I was kind of like going in and out. I was dabbling. I was not all in on it. This year, got a text from who else? Lewis. I'm in the text community, and he's asking everyone in the community what is like three questions, and the what stood out to me from that was when he was asking intention. What's your intention for this year when you're talking about the year? And I had to think for a minute for a second. I'm still kind of thinking about it, but I want to go all in on podcasting this year, because I was talking with another good friend but mutual friend of ours who we met at the Summit of Greatness, John Duffin, and he helped me. He was asking me the question, "What do you love to do?" And I came up with a quote from that question when he asked me on my podcast show. He asked the question and I gave an answer. I came up with, I can't think of a single thing I hate about podcasting. And so I'm taking all that. This year I want to go all in on podcasting. Someone came to me today. I want to create the show. Can you help build this for me? We'll pay you and everything. And I'm down to say yes. I want to go all in on podcasting this year in 2024.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Now, when you say that, go all in, I want to focus in a little bit. Does that mean go all in on your own podcast? Or does that mean supporting other people in editing and processing and producing their podcasts?
Like all the above. I schedule my own. I love doing this, like hosting. I'm doing 2 podcasts right now, producing what I'm doing, but I can also help edit it. I'm a video editor, all the above, and scheduling, and
Cool.
I can focus on all of that. And I can do my thing here, what I'm doing, D50 After Dark, which I produce a podcast for Toastmasters, and I can set out times to edit for others and help people with their shows too.
Awesome. And I'd like to connect with you on something like that too, because I have a show idea that fits into one of my domains, the revenue domain. Um, and it's a conversation, it's an introduction and conversation with people and different entrepreneurs and different opportunities of revenue creation. It's like you see these influencers, you see these people create podcasts, doing all these things online. Well, how do you make money doing it, right? And so the the show I have started is really interviewing different entrepreneurs that are generating revenue doing different things online, and not necessarily all online, but leveraging technology. So
It's all
it's
about
pretty it's pretty cool.
finding the people who want to, need to know what the value that you're bringing out, because they're out there. Just you sharing with them, making them aware of what you're doing. Say, oh,
Yeah,
I'm doing this. Like, you had this question. This may be something to help. Like, finding those people who would take in that value that you're putting out. When
yeah. A
especially
lot of
talk about
people think that,
community and being
yeah,
in contribution.
yeah, being in contribution is the biggest thing. Find out how you can, you know, be in support or in contribution. And a lot of the, like, people are worried about money, right? They're what, how much am I going to make? When you're in that mindset, that's kind of a poverty mindset. That's a limited mindset. Uh, when we're in an abundance mindset, we're not worrying about what we're going to make out of it as much as what our contribution is. And so when we're in that place, what's crazy about it, and I love that you shared that, Tommy, that you're going to be podcasting, because in 2012 I did the exact same thing. We launched a podcast mastermind group, and we taught other entrepreneurs, and it was dads, because we had the podcast Kick Ass Dad. But we taught them how to launch their own podcast and take that idea and get it out there into the world, right? And create it in a way that it's duplicatable. So it's like, is this just this like idea that I have, or is this like burning passion that I'm going to be able to create a podcast and have it look this certain way and show up every week or every month or every, however often you're going to have your show, and really start, manifesting what that looks like and being there to support them through that. I love it. I think it's awesome. So I'm excited with you for that. So and I'd love to collaborate.
This format of this episode was a little different. Like, it was a lot more free flowing and a lot more on how you can focus on aspects of your life that you want more of, and this was, we were talking about a lot of that, and we're going for I want to, like, spend maybe we close to getting some to wrap it up here, and we can do another episode here down the line in the future too, to touch on more of a, because I had a list of questions, but like, when I do like to, like, have the free flowing questions come, free flowing conversation, but I
Yeah.
wanted to ask
What do you
a
got? Question?
few things. One thing I like when we're talking about, like, I think I just answered the question for myself in this last month, and as we're entering 2024, about podcasting and what would I 10 years, I guess it did exist 10 years ago, but like, what for you 10 years ago that maybe was not maybe around yet, or not around yet, or something that it maybe goes back even before 10 years. What's something that you wish was what was something that could have supported you 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that is here now, it is, you're using or supporting, and it's supporting you now? What's something that you wish that would have been there, that that
Yeah,
was?
I think For me, the biggest piece is like over the past 10 years. So 10 years ago is like my started my journey of self-development, self-growth. I got into podcasting. I worked from a factory and lived a factory life to being an independent, working from home, kind of living life by design. So the past 10 years, I've been in that place of exploring, right? Of what of possibilities, what's possible, working from home and working for yourself and all that. And so I guess like when I think about your question, it's like, what is my nuggets of wisdom that I've learned, and what would I tell my younger self is what I was hearing you ask. And I think the biggest thing for me is like I've had a million ideas, and I've had um, 5 that I've acted on. And so if I were to talk to my younger self, it would be act on more of those ideas. D- don't let them just be ideas. Like move forward, build out, create, do. Don't let those fears, those things slow you down or stop you. Just build and go and do. And that's my biggest like thing, because I have so much over the years that I've held back, just for my own self doubt. When the reality is, if I would have just hit record and made that video, then that content, that thought bubble that I had now lives forever. And who knows who that can support? Who knows who that could help? And the thing is like, the other thing is like, I don't get so obsessed and caught up in the number of people that are watching it. Just keep showing up and keep doing. And eventually, at some point, people will start paying attention.
The
It
people
will
that,
benefit you.
yeah, the people that need to, or that need to hear it in some way will end up eventually finding it and seeing it. And especially,
Yeah, and you don't know when. You don't know when, because we go through these different cycles of life, and globally too, right? So we as individuals, but then us as an overall, uh, also. And so what I create may not be in the full cycle of the majority, so it might not get the attention of the majority in this moment. But then when things start to shift, now all of a sudden, oh, everybody's talking about manifestation. Nobody was talking about it 5 years ago, but now manifestation is the big key word. You know, um, podcasting was that way to me. I was podcasting for years, and everyone was like, "What's podcasting?" I'm like, why are you podcast? I had people all over the place pish posh in my podcast. We were trying to find ways to generate revenue for our podcast. Couldn't get anybody to sponsor it. We had 20,000 downloads an episode, and I couldn't get people to write a check for sponsorship. Now companies are drooling over 20,000 downloads an episode, writing big checks. So, it's the shifting to be in the market, or to try to be popular. That's where people mess up. It's just can do what you're going to do and do it consistently, and work at being the best at that thing. That's my biggest piece. Does that make sense?
yeah, I just came across this question as you speaking that, and made me think of this too. How can we overcome, like, how is it, the biggest challenges of technology that people, it was touched on a little bit, like you just change, accept what you're seeing when it comes to social media, or change it. Yeah, we did talk about that, but how can we
Yeah.
overcome, maybe not social media, but the fears of technology, and being tracked or being Big Brother's watching, whatever you think, whatever's going on in your mind. How can we
Yeah.
overcome that and just start to use it more as a tool?
Yeah, I think the fear around social media is like, I understand it. I understand why people have the fear around it. And so my thing is like, as far as me putting out myself, like I have nothing to hide, right? Like you can't do nothing to me because my integrity is at a certain level. Like I do what I say, and so I don't really worry so much about them tracking me and doing all that stuff because I'm not really doing anything that I need to be concerned with. Um, although that being said, there are freedoms that can be infringed upon if we're not paying attention. And I definitely think that we're in an age in our government where we're getting to a point where we need to rethink uh, the way things are set up. Maybe do a little bit of some shifting and term limits and for me, some of this lobbying that takes place. There's some really bad results from some of that government, and so I think that there's opportunity for some change there. Um, and as far as the concern with social media is like, you know, it's only going to be used against us based on how our government is involved with it. Does that make sense? Like,
Mhm.
there's one thing when it comes to a company using your information to put products in front of you to purchase. That's one level of use of data, right? But using that data to influence you on your political standing and things like that, like to me, that's and morally, there's moral lines there. And
When there's groups of big groups of people, companies paying for that data that you don't you kind of know, but you forget that it's out there, and they're getting their hands on that data and they're using it like against you.
yeah, I don't see there's just I live in this different bubble with when it comes to data because I was from the marketing side. So
Hmm.
for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm finding my most uh, common customer. Does that make sense? Like through that data is helping me show you products that you want, that you're looking for. Whereas in other, in that same um, program, I'm using it to help me help you, the customer, and it's like a win for us all. But then you have this other company coming through and finding, oh, I have these mortgages that are, targeted towards these certain types of individuals, and it's actually really bad for them, but they have no other choice if they want to get a loan, you know, and so they get this loan through us, and we screw them all over. We're sharks. It's like, well, that's awful. So I I don't want to see people use it in that way, but at the same time, there's a level of awareness that you have to have that exists, and so I don't just click on any email that comes across. I have filters and safety things in place to protect myself. But at the same time, um, when it comes to content, I share what's authentic with me. I put myself out there, and I don't really worry about the repercussions of that. And I think we've seen some of that, like from the media. Like you had these Andrew Tate videos that came out where he like did something to some girl, and then it came out that was made up, and so it's like it's interesting to see media used against somebody, but then also be used to kind of vindicate somebody. And so, just know that it's a tool. It can be used in all kinds of ways. A hammer can be used to pound a nail, or it can be used to commit murder. It's like,
We can
just because
force
it can doesn't,
if we can be
just because
intentional.
somebody can kill somebody with a hammer, we can't make hammers illegal.
Mm-hmm. We can be intentional on using social media as that force, that tool for good.
Yeah.
And
Create it.
that a little more.
Be the example of what you want to create in the world. You want to see more social media is filled with negativity. Be more positivity. Be that light. Social media is filled with trash, or whatever. Like food. People show food all the time. Okay, don't be food. Show other stuff. Whatever it is. Be the thing that you want to see more of. I think that's a really good point in itself. Is be what you want to see more of in the world. Create it. Be the example of it, so others can know what it looks like and mimic it and copy it. If you go to a gas station, if you were a gas station attendant and you wanted everybody to come in and smile at you and say, "Have a great day," be that, and that customer coming in to smile at the gas station attendant and say, "Have a good day." You know what I mean? Like,
And that's
hold the door for somebody.
The question: how can we balance the good with the bad, or balance the bad with the good? Be what you want to see. And we can. There's to everything. There's the yin yang. To someone's yin, there's a yang. You have the yin, be the yang. So be the opposite. So
And it goes with like somebody being crappy to you in public. You're in traffic. I can react to that person and be like, "Man, back to them," or I can give them grace. Be like, "Hey, have a great day," because I think back, like, there was that day that I had stuff going on, and my wife was in an accident and she's in the hospital, and I'm trying to get to the hospital, and I'm like, "Get out of my way, get to the hospital." Thank God for that guy having grace for me. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's like, hey, if I'm not in some rush, if I'm not that guy, having to get to the hospital, I give everybody grace. I assume that that's where they're at. They're in some place of panic where they need to be, whatever. Give them that grace.
I always like
I don't know. Did I ever tell you the story where I got headbutted at the gas station?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, did I ever tell you the story of when I got headbutted at the gas station?
No, I didn't hear that story.
Oh no. So I'm like at the gas station. I had a meeting, and I thought, I'm going to grab a energy drink before the meeting, and so I ran into the gas station, grab a energy drink, and I think like a bag of chips or something, and I'm standing in line, and this guy comes in, and he's like mumbling something to the person that he walked in with, and I didn't hear what he said, and he like looks at me and he's like, "You got a problem?" And I didn't realize he was talking to me. And I was just kind of like, just stand there like this. And he goes, boom, and he headbutts me. And I was like, whoa. Like, and he's like, "You got a problem, buddy? We can take care of it right now." And I was like I'm standing in line at the freaking thing. I didn't even know you were talking to me. Like, I was like, boop, set my stuff down. I just walked out of there. I'm like, I have no idea what was going on in that guy's world. I I was just standing there. Somehow he interpreted my standing there as uh something towards him and decided to headbutt me. I'm still to this day, no clue why, but it really doesn't matter, right? Like, I had a choice to make in that moment. I can sit here and have this conflict with this gentleman and try to figure out what the heck his problem is, and and find justification in the fact that he headbutted me. But what I knew in that moment was this: there was no conversation that was going to happen with this guy. If anything, this guy was looking for conflict. And so I knew that. And so I'm not in a place to want to even go down that road, because that means police are going to get called. There's going to be, I'm going to have all of this stuff. I have a meeting I'm supposed to be going to, right? What do I do in this moment? Boom, I get headbutted. Whoa, this dude is pissed. I can stay and fight, or I can flee and what am I going to create? I have an option right now, right? Or choice. And so I got the hell out. I literally set my stuff down and I just walked out of the gas station, got my car, pulled out of the gas station. And as I was pulling out, he comes walking out of the gas station like, where'd he go? He was ready to fight. And I I don't have time for that. And a lot of times we get in those situations and it's not my fault. He headbutted me, right? Because he headbutted me, and so I've swung back, and then boom, boom, boom. We're in this fight. We're wrestling on the ground. The cops are called. The thing, the gas station place is getting all busted up because we're wrestling in it. So, we had these options. We had this opportunity, and anyway, what will you choose to do? That's kind of the thinking around there. Is in that moment, I made a choice. Now I didn't recognize all of the actions that I created in that moment, and I just was like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to fight this guy. But then when I reflect back, it's like, dang, dude, that was really good thinking. You were really in a place of response instead of react, and I really had to give myself credit for showing up like that, because I was really surprised. Like, how did I not cold cock that guy? Like, just come back swinging. Like, I kept my composure, set my stuff down, and walked out. Like, whoa.
And how long ago was this? Was this before all the training?
2 years ago.
Oh, it's
No,
2
this
years
is like,
ago.
yeah. This is like right when COVID was kind of kicking off.
And it was an in-person
and
thing that happened, and you hear all this stuff about like social justice warrior, keyboard warriors, screen warriors, whatever they're called, and just when someone writes that mean, nasty comment, think about like what could be possibly going through their head that could trigger that comment to do that. Someone's reporting someone. What's triggering them and them? Maybe think about that. I not. It's hard to like really know what they're thinking about, but think about like
yeah,
something's going through their mind.
yeah, that was my thing with that guy. Is like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't be in this. Like, I have a meeting, and the reality is that meeting, and this isn't the point of the conversation, but that meeting was probably a $30,000 meeting for me. And so if I would have made a different choice in that moment before, I could have been dealing with the cops, been having to call and be like, hey, I got to postpone our meeting. I got to, hey, I went to the gas station. I got headbutted. But instead, I show up to the meeting and I'm still a little kind of shook from what just took place. And I was like, dude, I was at the gas station and I got headbutted. So yeah, I will take that coffee. I will take that coffee. I do need a drink right now to help kind of settle my nerves. And that created a really great conversation and kind of icebreaker for the meeting. Um, but you know, another benefit to the awareness of my choices in that moment.
Be an
You know,
intention. Like when you ask yourself when the day starts, what's your intention for the day? What do you want to create? And is this
yeah,
fight what you want to create? No, okay, back away.
yeah. I'm
And
not
it
going to be a
becomes an
victim to my circumstance.
easy response, an easy reaction when you know your
Yeah,
intention.
yeah.
Or
And if I
aware
don't take
of, not know,
responsibility,
but aware.
if I yeah, if I don't take responsibility, then it's all that guy's fault. He forced me to respond in this way, right? And then now that's why I wasn't able to make it to that meeting, and that's why all of these things happen. You know, I can take responsibility on both sides of it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So when you look at where you are in your life, there's an opportunity for you to say the actions that I've made of the past have gotten me these results. There's nobody to point fingers at. You know, I can go back to my childhood trauma and I can talk about how that created all this stuff. But the reality is that the decisions that I made got me here. The why and the what that made me those decisions really doesn't matter when it comes to how I'm moving forward. I'm here now. What is it that I want to create moving forward? None of the stuff in the past, I can cut that off. The only thing holding me to that is up here. So I see that thing that I want to create, that life that I want to live, that person that I choose that I want to be, and I just have to start being that person. And that's why I created this. This is schedule it. All the areas of your life, each domain in your life, schedule it. Make a plan for it. Be intentional. Whatever that is. Oh, I don't know. I'm
Do
sorry.
we
Get
we're at the
kind of
point
passionate and
of
then I ramble.
want to wrap up this conversation today anyway, and I just want to give you. You talked a lot about the velocity trainings. Where can we find that at a website, or where are you on social
Yeah, if
media?
you go to
Hang out and talk with.
velocitytrainings.com, velocitytrainings.com is a great place. We've got the planner on there that you can purchase and start, scheduling your day. There's a group on there. The beautiful thing about the group is we coach to the daily trainings. You're also put into an action group. So, you won't have more than 10 people in your action group. And the idea about that is you're committing each week to your action group. And then every month we do a training on a specific domain. Uh, and that's what we offer in the group training. We also have a daily encouragement and reminders option. And what that is like we send multiple text messages throughout the day. We have social media, Facebook Messenger messages, and then email that you get throughout the day, every day, of words of encouragement and support and reminders of, just to raise our awareness around these different things in our lives. Right. So we have, a lot of support, not just the planner, but also the community of other like-minded individuals doing the work, being involved, being committed. And then that piece of support where I'm getting reminders and I'm getting notifications of like, keep going, sometimes we need that. And so we've really created, I think, like the perfect level of support for people regardless of where they're at. So velocitytrainings.com, Facebook is at velocity trainings. We're in TikTok. We're on there. We're in LinkedIn. Um, I got several blogs out right now on LinkedIn and that are on the website. that talk about the different domains and some different practices that we can start to implement in each domain. So lots of tools there, lots of content, and more to come. So I'm excited to be launching it. So.
And they can reach out to the platforms and each social media account. Like where can people reach out if interested
Yeah,
in
we're
like this?
the number one best way is the website. We have, a lead form in there, so you can put your information and we can send, drop you emails and send more information that way. That's always like really easy. Or, on Facebook, Velocity Trainings, on Facebook, it's Facebook / Velocity Trainings. Or Instagram, it's, I think, at Velocity Trainings. It might be Velocity Trainings 2024 though, or 23. Either way, it's Velocity Trainings. You'll find us. It's real easy. This is the logo,
Well, we
so
can
look
have
for that logo.
You can get me the exact link and we can put it up.
Yeah,
Notes.
I'll definitely do that.
But
Easy to access.
So the bonus questions at the end. Bonus questions at the end to wrap up everything here, and like to model its truths. And what are three or some, if you have three, like undeniable truths that you learned about like technology today?
It's a great tool. It can be used for, technology is a great tool. It can be used to spread love just as much as it can hate. And, we are the ones that are choosing how we utilize it, and how we consume from it. Right. So that would definitely be one. The others, there's so much value in community. And so it's also technology is a really valuable tool to create community in person and online. It can be both and, right? And I know COVID kind of forced us in the have to of online. And so you kind of have a group of people that are now like repelling away from it. And I think that's okay. But there is still value in it. And so it gets to still be a piece of our lives.
Yeah, to be okay with both.
Yeah, finding the flow of it.
Yeah, but third
That's
one,
it.
or
The third one, I don't know. That's pretty much it.
and next question I have is to follow up on that is three lessons you have that you learned to be true. Like three lessons that or advice of dealing with technology.
If you feel it, yeah. Well, for one, if you're feeling it, like there's an emotion in me, like record it, create content around it. It doesn't need to be like a video recording of, but journaling, writing, something, some way of like passing on that knowledge and that experience. There's so much value that you can share just by being authentic and putting it out there. So that's like one of the biggest things is don't hold back on doing those things that you think about or that you feel pulled on. Wouldn't it be amazing if, take action on it. Don't think about it, do it.
Exactly right.
And
One thing what would come to like me when I hear that is the world is missing your view most likely on that. So create that. One of the best, the greatest ways contribution is create from yourself.
yeah, six people can say the exact same thing and it be heard six different ways. So share, that's one thing. I'll say this. Craig and I, have been developing this together, and we've completely found we both have our own way of sharing the value here, and it lands with people in different ways. And so we can both say, okay, create a video about meditation, and he and I will both create completely different videos on meditation, even though all of the criteria for the video is the exact same. We just have completely different personality viewpoints that the content becomes so unique. And so it's really great when you can find a partnership like that, to where you're leveraging your uniqueness. And so I don't know, finding community helps you be able to connect with more people in that realm. So I love it.
So anything else to add? Like any other lessons before I move on to the final question?
Well, I'd say one lesson that I'd want to emphasize that I don't think we really put enough attention on is that oxygen mask, that self work. I talked about the different domains: our mental domain, our physical domain, and then our spiritual domain. Right? That is what makes us up as a human. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not applying that oxygen mask, no matter what impact we're trying to have, we're not showing up as our best version of ourselves. And if we want to show up to the people that we love most, and show up to the things that we care about most, we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves first and foremost. So, get that rest, get that, eat that good food, get that exercise, take that time in meditation, take that time to journal and to write out those feelings and thoughts and stuff, and really take care of self. Because the better you're taken care of, the better you're going to impact everybody else around you. So that would be the last nugget.
All right, love it. And final question: what is your definition of innovation?
Innovation is finding the way through, right? So it's like, I have this idea, I have this concept, I have this thing that I want to do, and finding a way to make it happen. And it doesn't always look the way that you initially envision and think of it looking. So innovation is the thinking on your toes and building as you go, or that nimbleness of being able to shift and change. And so for me, I love entrepreneurship, and innovation is such a key element to entrepreneurship, because that's our job as entrepreneurs, is to find the gaps, find those areas that we need support with, and giving that support. So whether that be a rubber mat or a, a plug. this this is Thing Charger. This was one of the products that I marketed. So it's one of them. Anyway.
So a little awareness today on the mental, the physical, the spiritual, or I see it as the mind, body, soul of yourself. Take care of yourself, self-care,
Yeah.
self-love, community, revenue, relationships, contribution. If we're in all those things, going all in on those 7 things, based on what Chris is doing, velocity trainings, and with the help and support of his partner Craig Mills. Yeah. Got mind blank on Craig for a minute. If we're going all on those 7 things based on what Chris is telling us today, then we're going to be living the bulletproof life, and we're not going to be as reactive. We're not going to be as we're going to show up as the best version of ourselves. Thank you for having this conversation start today. There's a lot more that we can discuss in future episodes, but I just thank you for coming on and taking some time to bring about this awareness.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Thank you so much, Tommy. It's been so much fun being on here chatting with you and, standing on my soapbox. So,
Pretty fun conversation. Loved it.
I think this stuff's really cool, and it's important work, and so just raising our awareness and talking about it is something I'm passionate about. So I'm happy to do it.
All
so
right,
thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Yeah, have you back on again soon, and we'll talk again.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. It's always a blast exploring the tech universe with you. But alas, it's time to wrap things up. If you've got burning tech questions or just want to say hello, remember you can reach out to us on our website, social media, or drop us an email. We love hearing from you. And if you found this episode as electrifying as we did, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us keep the tech goodness flowing. Don't forget to share Tech Time with Sweet Tea with your fellow techies. The more, the merrier, right? As we sign off today, always remember that tech is a tool and it's here to serve you. So use it wisely, explore fearlessly, and keep it real in your tech adventures. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep rocking the digital world. Catch you on the next episode of Tech Time with Sweet Tea.